All right. Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is a special bonus episode of the We the Locals podcast.
Ooh.
Bonus. So, my name is Josie.
I'm Jessica.
And I'm Abby.
And we are excited to have you with us watching this bonus episode. So we are going to keep this one short and sweet. We're going to jump right into the topic that we want to discuss tonight. Abby, what's going on with you? What is the newest and exciting thing that you are about to do in life?
Well, since the end of August, since our late chairman announced his resignation.
Chairman for
the Broward Republican Executive Committee.
Okay.
Since he announced his resignation and unfortunately passed a week later, I have been running for the chair position of the Broward REC, better known as BREC. So per the RPOF, Republican Party of Florida Rules of Procedure, a special election must be held by the acting chairman within 60 days of the resignation of the former chairman. So
when's it scheduled?
It's not scheduled yet.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes.
When's your normally scheduled meeting?
The fourth Monday of the month. So October 23rd is the most likely date that it would happen. However, the acting chair can call it at any time. He just has to properly notice the meeting 10 days in advance.
Interesting.
So, yes.
So do you feel like you're living on like a precipice that it could happen any moment?
I mean, it could, but I still would have a 10-day,
That's true.
runway.
Yeah.
All right.
Advance notice.
So what does that mean to run for chair?
So just like any other election, there's a campaign involved, and it's talking to the voters. And in this case, the voters are the members of the Broward REC. Right now, we're hovering around 270 members. We have a meeting Tuesday night. Monday's Yom Kippur, so we move the meeting to Tuesday. So there could be additional members read on. There could be members that get read off.
You have a BREC meeting on Tuesday?
This Tuesday, yes. It's a regular meeting.
So how come they're not having the election at that Tuesday?
There's strategy involved.
Oh, okay.
There's strategy involved.
So you don't have to have the
You don't
election.
have to have the election at the next regular meeting.
Okay, but it has to be called by the interim chair?
It has to be, yes, a special election must be called by the acting chair within 60 days, or it has to be held within 60 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you every month right now?
We haven't been this year,
Okay.
and the reason we're having the meeting Tuesday is because we haven't had a meeting in the third quarter. You're required by the state party to have one meeting, at least one meeting a quarter.
Counties get to decide like when they want to have their meetings or how often? I didn't know that.
So we attempted to have a February meeting. We had a training day in January that wasn't, it wasn't a regular meeting. We attempted to have a February meeting, but it was on a Saturday because we were in the middle of the March Municipals. We were going to go out and knock doors and sign wave and, help the candidates. Unfortunately, we didn't have quorum. So, but when you don't have a quorum, that still counts as
having a called meeting.
Called a meeting, yeah.
Okay.
So we had that. Then we had a meeting in March. Did we have one? We did not have a meeting in April, but we had meetings in May and June. So we've had quite a few meetings already this year, especially for an off election year, because you guys are having one every other month.
Every other month.
But it's like
consistently
It's
the
consistent.
third Wednesday of every month of every other month.
Right. So yeah, we haven't. We were going to have one in August.
Second Wednesday.
Second
Wednesday. Sorry.
Yes.
We were going to. We scheduled a meeting in August, but we again scheduled it for a Saturday because we were going to phone bank for one of the, the voter outreach efforts that we're doing right now. And there were so many people that submitted excused absence requests. Do you guys do that in Palm Beach?
Yes.
Okay. That we knew we weren't going to have quorum, so we just canceled the meeting.
Okay. So this is there's a meeting.
There's a regular meeting
Tuesday.
And then we have to have the special election by October 27th.
So is there... Okay, so he doesn't have enough time to say then that the election will be Tuesday. So you know for sure that it's not happening on Tuesday.
It shouldn't happen on Tuesday according to the rules. I mean, anything is
can
possible.
Happen. Broward's gonna Broward, right?
Yes.
Okay, so what are the roles and duties of a chair of a REC or a BREC?
So I like to think of an REC and the chairman position, and I know this topic pretty well because I live in the city of Lighthouse Point, but I really think of it as like a strong mayor system. The chairman is the strong mayor of the board, and so he directs, the agenda. He or she directs the agenda and the direction of all of the efforts of the committee at large.
Okay.
So obviously he creates the agenda for the meetings. He creates the budget in conjunction with the treasurer. He is instrumental in fundraising efforts. He meets with donors. He meets with contributors. He, works with, if you have an executive director, fundraising efforts and all of that. So, so that's, in my mind, that's the role and the function of a chairman is, raising money for the party and determining either, with the help of the e-board, hopefully with the help of the e-board, the direction of how they're going to spend that money on candidates and campaigns and bringing more people into the party and bringing more, efforts to get out the vote.
So, sorry, if you have any questions, just jump in.
Go right
I have
ahead.
lots
You're
of,
doing great.
I have lots of questions. Okay, so with that, as you're running for this position, what do you see that has worked well in Breck, and what do you see that you would want you bring to the table in making a change in Breck, or continuing what you've been doing, and how would you better do it, or
How would you Abbyize it?
Abbyize That's a good way to put it.
So I think, I worked pretty closely with Tom Powers, former chairman, all year long. From when I got elected as treasurer last December, we met several times in the month of December to plan the 23 through 24, 2-year cycle budget, figure out how much we needed to, what is our fundraising goal? Because obviously everything's driven off of like how much we bring in.
Right.
And then how much we want to allocate to the different, portions of the budget, whether it's candidate contributions, it's, fundraising expenses, it's, overhead, the small amount of overhead that we have. And then also resources, because a lot of our expenses, especially like right before the elections, is, door hangers, yard signs, text messages, social media buys.
So that people aren't sitting in the sun at polling locations, things like that. Yeah. Okay.
So, so I was heavily involved in that starting, at the end of last year. And then as the year progressed, I continued to work closely with Tom and the executive director to, plan out different activities, the training day we had in January, we brought in the Leadership Institute, it had breakout sessions. I gave a small presentation in one of the breakout sessions about, treasurer responsibilities and the way the budgeting process works for a nonprofit, that sort of thing. So, and then we moved into the spring. We moved past the March municipals. Things quieted down, but we did launch, a voter outreach and a campaign, so to speak, for precinct committee men and women to continue, working their precincts, talking to their neighbors. And a lot of times, like as new PCs get read on and they're joining the ranks and they're like, I don't know what to do.
What do I do now?
They feel better with something in their hand, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we,
Yeah.
we
Do you do like an orientation process? Because Palm Beach does.
I know that they've done some form of orientation process in the past. Like I remember after I got read on, I'm trying to think when it was. They did like prior to a regular meeting, they had like a new member orientation.
That's what Palm Beach County does.
Okay. I did not have that when I got read on, but
is that something you would like to implement as chair?
Absolutely. Because I feel like, obviously information is power. And like if our membership is informed, specifically what their roles are and like what the function of the committee at large is and the way that the board and the chair interacts with the membership at large. I think the more they understand the process, obviously the better functioning the whole committee will be.
Right.
Because I think a lot of times people get really caught up in the minutia
and the emotion.
And the emotion, yeah. And really, like when I think about it, the real work of the committee happens outside that meeting room. The meeting is just to conduct the business of the party.
Yeah.
Yep.
And, we as a board, we should update the membership on like what we're working on, what we've got coming up. Maybe we bring someone in from, the state party or a candidate or an elected official to speak and to share with the membership at meetings, but it's really the business of the party at the meetings. So,
and giving people like the tools and resources to help them when they leave to walk that business out.
Yeah.
Now, is Breck divided in any way by like in Palm Beach we have different regions or?
So we are. The structure that was set up sometime in 2021 is we have like a city by city structure and then we have zones.
Okay.
So we have like a northeast, a northwest, a central, a southeast, and a southwest zone, and there's zone leaders. And then there's captains in each of the cities. So that's the way that
Is that working?
it worked fairly well through the 22 election cycle. It has not worked as well this year.
So
And
what
there's-
would? Sorry, go ahead.
There's reasons for that.
Well, yeah. So what would you envision if when you get elected to making an adjustment to that to make it a better structure?
Well, I really like the fact that you guys have elections for your region leaders.
We just started that.
I think that's
yes.
a great idea. It kind of brings the cream of the crop to the top. The cream rises to the top. And I think, if you want to be a leader within the organization, like, you got to get people to vote for you. And
Well, it's a political party, right? So
Right.
it's like, as a political party, we want to elect our leaders because that's the whole point of the process.
Yeah.
Right.
So by electing within your party, you know that, hey, I even if you weren't the one that voted for whoever is in charge of like your regional director, you at least know that a majority of the people that you're doing the work with are supporting that leader. So
Right.
it's easier to
Right.
kind of buy in and create those action plans.
Yeah. Right now, the people that are currently considered captains in the different cities, obviously we have some cities where we don't really have a PC structure at all. I mean, you think about the central part of the county where it's very blue, Lauderhill, Lauderdale Lakes,
Areas you just don't have.
we just
people.
don't have PCs. Yeah, we don't have precinct committee men or women. And so we don't,
I mean, we have huge chunks of those too.
Yeah.
So, for sure.
Well, in the size of Broward, would you say 270 members?
Yeah, but I mean, we could accommodate, we should have like 3,000 members.
Right, of
Based
course.
on
So
precincts.
should we?
But
Yeah,
it's like
something
by
that.
the size of Broward and only really having 270 members, when you break them out into these zones can't have very many members in them, right?
It depends on the zone. I mean, different.
Well, you have your concentrated areas,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. But like just some cities are more active than others.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Do you have any ideas on how you would want to increase membership into Breck?
I mean, I think education and like I don't know if social media is the right avenue for it, but informing just regular voters, maybe voters that want to be more active, they want to do something. I mean, that's how I got involved. I'm like, I can't, like, I'm a super voter, but like I'm not doing anything. Like, how can I get involved in, all of us wanted to get involved and influence local politics.
So, like, as chair, would you like authorize like funding to be put towards maybe mailers or something to reach super voters? Say, okay, these are the super voters, and
Yeah,
say
no, that's
this
a
is
great
what
use
we
of-
would want to do. You think?
I
would
think
be,
that's I mean, I think that's a perfect use of funds, like for growing the party and growing the volunteer ranks.
apparatus.
Yeah,
Yeah. All right.
yeah. I know I get asked a lot about like the Dems always have money to pay their volunteers.
Then they're not volunteers.
Well, and
It's not how that works.
it's true, but it's
you're
like,
being paid. You're not really a volunteer, in my opinion.
I agree
Yeah.
with you 100%. And I mean,
I do
like,
too.
I feel like as Republicans, we should find enough pissed off people over the last, several years that they'd want to get out there and do the work for free. But I think as a party, especially in Broward, I mean, we're doing a lot better than we have in the past, but we still have a long ways to go as far as fundraising and
So
all
quick,
of that.
So quick question. I know there is a big push for like the precinct strategy in Broward. And I mean, we were hearing like 50, 70 people joining a meeting.
Yeah, no, the meeting that I got read on in June of 21, there was like 85 new members read on.
So was there just not very many members to begin with, or has
No,
there been a lot of drop off?
It's both.
Oh, okay.
There's both. So I believe in the past, under past chairs and past, boards, I think there was, I don't know if it was on purpose or it was how it was, but membership was kept low. Like membership was around 100 members.
That's what Palm Beach had actually. Before,
And
like
a lot of
2020.
times it was just showing up to the meetings and there was a speaker and then you went home and you mailed out letters before elections. And that was it. Like people weren't actively out knocking doors unless
Right.
you were a candidate and you were,
Doing-
campaigning for your election. I think REC members were just, showing up for the meetings like a club.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't involved then, so I could be completely wrong, but that's my understanding. And then after 2020 and the precinct strategy, there was this huge influx of membership.
Right.
And it's really hard, like if you're driven by anger and like frustration, to stay angry and frustrated for the long term. I mean, unfortunately for Republicans, Democrats are really good at playing the long game.
Yes, they are.
And so
They're very organized.
They stay
at doing
mission
it.
focused and they stay on task, and it's top down organization, and they all follow their marching orders.
They're really good at staying angry too.
Seething under the skin.
Seething and rage, and then they just get stirred up, and it's interesting to watch.
So there's been quite a good chunk of the membership, because last year at the December election there was almost 400 members.
Whoa, wow.
So there have been a lot of members that have dropped off this year. Like if you miss 3 meetings in a row with
get
no
dropped.
excused absence, you get read off.
Do you have a system in yours to reach out to those
Oh,
members
yeah.
that are close to being dropped off?
I don't know if we're reaching out to those that are like with 2 absences under their belts, but I mean, every member receives the meeting notice multiple times.
Right.
And I know that the members that are about to get read on, receive a phone call from the secretary. They receive the email that they're going to get read on. So, I think some of the frustration from my challenger, the one I'm facing in the election, is he's claiming that we're not doing a good enough job of making sure these people know they have to show up to the meeting. And it's like, well, we're all adults. There's multiple notices.
So it has to be more, give them a reason that they want to show up. I think it's like what we see. I know we've talked about that in Palm Beach County. REC is having a system where, okay, people have 2 absences. They need a phone call. Maybe the chair calls them. Maybe someone from the board calls them and says, hey, we see you're missing absences. What can we do to help you stay more plugged in?
Yeah.
So...
And I think, after the December election, I think a lot of the supporters of the slate that didn't win, they just decided not to stay involved.
Which is sad.
It is.
It's not
it is,
mission
because
focused.
We need everyone.
Everybody.
I mean, in 24, it's all hands on deck.
Yes.
Especially something like Broward, where you have such deep blue pockets. You have to chip away at those races. And it takes consistency. You've got to be pushing. And unfortunately, we're in a system right now where we have to, like, elections are all year round now, as far as like the work involved in elections is all year round, because we were taking our eye off the ball so bad. So it makes me sad that people aren't sticking with it.
And I like what you said there a couple minutes ago about just, we've got to run a Republican candidate in every single race on the ballot.
Yep.
And we have not done a good job of that in Broward in years past. And obviously a lot of them, it's a losing proposition just because, the incumbent's a Democrat, it's a heavily Democrat area, whatever. I mean, there's multiple reasons why, it's a long shot at the least. But we have to do it, because if we don't run Republicans, if we don't
we'll never have a chance
they're
to
never
win.
going to spend their money. They're going to build this war chest, and they're just going to matriculate up the food chain from, city commission to county commission to state rep to state senate. And we've got to build out our farm system. And to me, that's the biggest priority in Broward, is finding the right candidate for the right seat and running them and just getting good, electable
I think
candidates.
that's everywhere.
I think that's good,
it is.
Yeah, I definitely think that's everywhere. So, Abby, what can people do to support you? What do you need? How can we make sure that you become the next chairwoman of BREC?
Unfortunately, you guys can't vote for me.
I
because
know.
We can't.
You're not Broward.
Can we mail in our vote?
I was going to say, if we're Democrats, we could, right? Isn't that what they do?
Yes,
I'm just going to, vote anyway.
So, I mean, if there's any Broward REC members that are, watching this episode, feel free to reach out to me.
What's the process? Is the process to join BREC? Do you have to submit your application by a certain time before a meeting?
So it takes 2 meetings now per the state party rules to get read on.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
I know. Okay, I do remember
Which
that.
again also plays into the strategy. There's strategy going on. So, So
interesting.
Yeah, it takes 2 meetings.
So would this meeting count as one, and then the next meeting count, or
there would have to be a second regular meeting, I believe,
before the vote.
special election.
So they can't be
a voting member at the second meeting.
At the second meeting.
I'll have to double check the
I'm
rules.
just curious.
But yeah.
All right. Well, Sorry, go ahead.
I think it's you have to attend one, and then you get
Read
your
on.
membership on the
The
second.
second one.
But is that done before the election of the chair or not
Well,
at that meeting?
The second regular meeting would have to be a special election. I don't think would a special
no,
meeting.
because
I
the
don't
people
think would
that
count.
got voted in
That
when we
meeting.
when we did our special election, they could not vote.
They couldn't
Right.
vote
That
that
night.
night. They had to
Even
wait.
though
That's
they
what
got
I thought.
voted in that
I was
night,
just
they
curious because
couldn't
I have a
vote
couple
for it.
friends pushing to get in Broward to join Breck.
Have they
but
attended a meeting yet?
I don't know.
I know that
It's a
there's
conversation
the-
we're having.
based on the meeting minutes that were attached to the meeting notice for this one. There is a handful, probably about 10 to 12 that attended the June meeting that they'll be read on as members this meeting.
This meeting. All
Yeah.
right. All right. Well, that is all we have time for this special episode. I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, R30 Agency, a private investigation firm. I also wanted to say, I forgot to mention Stu is here.
Hey, Stu.
Hey, Stu, pushing buttons. Thank you very much. And definitely like us and follow on social media. Jessica, you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, so be sure to check us out at wethelocalspodcast.com. Check out our sponsors, wethelocalsfl@gmail.com to email us. And make sure you have a great night and stay local.
Bye.
Bye.
We're so cute.
We are so cute.